What's up, friends? Welcome in to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Thanks as well for listening to ESPN Kansas City with Dan Courtwright.
Is the voice of Sean Kellerman.
That's true. That's Dan Courtwright. I didn't expect that.
You do that. You do that to me all the time.
I do. I go, that's the face. That's the face of Dan Courtwright. Yeah, not the voice. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright with you here. Thanks for tuning in on this hump day. Dan, happy October. It's your favorite month.
I know. It's a hot one out there. I was talking about this on I was complaining a lot because it's October. Has it ever been like in your life? Do you remember it being October 1st and being
this hot?
What is it?
No.
Like 92 degrees right now? It's 86 right now in Lawrence. It feels like it's like 92.
It's
kind of a drier heat though, but still I'm a sweater guy.
Yes.
Like sweaters, like cardigans.
Yes, you are a
like,
sweater. We're talking
global
warming.
Blend
global warming here in the opening segment. No, hey, it's coming.
Horrible.
Monday, I think, is going to start the below 80 degrees, and we're going to be feeling. But yeah, it's like I haven't seen one leaf fall. Our beautiful new studios, by the way, here on Mass Street. We're able to look out. The sunshine's coming in, and people are in their summer.
It's
outfits,
toasty.
man.
It's toast. I'm wearing shorts right
we are
now.
Week 6 of college football.
I mean, Henry Greenstein. It makes him feel like he's home.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
that is very true. Round the clock heat in California.
Round the clock,
right.
75. It was like 75 degrees, 80 degrees all the time in
California.
No, he's from L.A., dude.
Wow, how about that? I don't know. He's somewhere out there, California. It's big. It's over there. We'll ask Greeny, actually. He's going to come on the show here in a little bit. But here in the opening segment, we're talking KU football and KU basketball. KU football today officially announcing that they will be playing a game in London, the first ever college football game taking place in London. It's going to be September 19th, 2026, KU and Arizona State. We speculated, heard some rumblings about this a few weeks ago, but KU makes it official today, so we'll talk about that and really how cool it is here in the opening segment. Plus, KU basketball, Dan, another big splash. We expected there was going to be some more good news after the commitment on Sunday from Taylon Kinney, and sure enough, as a 4-star recruit is on board, according to Rivals.
Yeah, that's right. Trent Perry has officially committed to Kansas, verbally committed. He's the number 120 national player in 24/7 at least, number 39 small forward as well. He's from Missouri, so he's from Branson, Missouri, actually, so not too far away, just a little stone's throw, but he's officially verbally committed, and now the dominoes are starting to fall, right? I mean, we heard Tay Kinney talking about how he's been recruiting guys to come to Kansas when he hasn't even stepped foot on campus. Well, he stepped foot on campus, but he hasn't, enrolled at Kansas yet. So this is absolutely huge news because, obviously there is going to be a lot of turnover. We talk constantly about the constant turnover in the transfer portal,
NIL, and
the transfer portal, of course. Right. I know I messed it up. And rev share, of course. But yeah, no, this is huge. This is huge news, and presumably more to come. We know that there's been some rumblings about guys like Davion Adams. We know that there's been some rumblings. At least people have been talking to Tyron Stokes. So the class of 26 is really shaping up. Yeah,
nothing official yet from KU, but according to Rivals, Joe Tipton on 3 Sports as well, Trent Perry has committed. Trent Perry has some quotes that we'll get to you regarding coming to KU that he gave to Rivals when he was talking to him. So good news there for the Hawks. Next segment, we're going to hear from KU tight end, fresh off a career day, Boden Groen, who spoke to the media yesterday. And then indeed it is the California kid, the pride of Orange County, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World will join us in studio here at Kansas Nation. Following segment, we will do the KU Mailbag, 5 o'clock hour. There is still time. You've got about an hour. Find us on Twitter at the Kansas Nation. Send us some more questions. It could be about anything, food, dating advice, whatever you want to send a question about. KU Mailbag segments. We've got that down.
By the people for the people.
That's
KU
right.
Mailbag.
One thing I forgot. DK McDonald video for you at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour. KU's defensive coordinator, very to the point, very clear, kind of a coach's coach, right?
Yes.
And got that vibe again from DK. He's going to speak about some areas that KU needs to improve on after their loss to Cincinnati on Saturday. Then we'll close out the show talking a little KU volleyball and MLB playoffs updates. 2 days in to the MLB postseason, Dan, and 2 absolute botch jobs by managers that I'm going to get into as we're underway. And for the first time ever, after I gave this stat yesterday, the first 12 series where so this is since 2022. The first 12 occasions, I should say, that it's been a best of 3 wild card scenario rather than the one game. The team who won game 1 went on to win that series. 12-0 if you won game 1.
Wow.
Well, already that's done with, as Cleveland defeated Detroit earlier today. So the Guardians and the Tigers will have their rubber match tomorrow to decide who goes on to the ALDS. And then Padres are looking to do the same. They lost to the Cubs yesterday. They're up 3-0 in the sixth at Wrigley.
I have a question for you, and we can get more into this later on in the show, but do you miss the single game, all or nothing, one game wild card? You win, you're in, you lose, you're out.
Kind of the same thinking for me as the expanded NCAA tournament, which it maybe is a kind of a elementary reason for me, but I like more games.
That's
I do.
Fair.
I like more games.
But
so
do you remember
I like
how much was on
now.
the line with the Royals and the A's? That was just so electric.
I agree, and there is something to be said for that. But hey, it's Game 3 tomorrow for the Tigers and the Guardians, so it'll be the same feel.
See, for me,
so it's just like Game 7.
If it's a one-game series, that game is essentially Game 7.
I just think there's more to it. Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Game 3, it's the Game 7 feel, that sort of thing. I don't know. I like more games. I am cheering when the Royals aren't in it, though, for it to go to 3 games. I mean, just like sports fans are cheering for Game 7 in any sport. So I like it. I like more games, and that's why I've always been pro expanding the NCAA tournament. Granted, I do think there's a cap.
I'm anti.
I do think there's a cap on that.
I want to be very clear about this. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
50-plus
Sean
teams.
loves to be on the wrong side of history.
I do. It's great. Yeah, but they're going to expand, we think, to 72 in the NCAA tournament. I'm fine with that.
I hate it.
Okay, there's 350-plus teams. It's not a big deal. I want more games, man. I want more games. So I'm good with that. But we'll talk more MLB postseason at the end of the show today. But hey, let's start with this London game, Dan. That was the big news today. First ever college football game at iconic Wembley Stadium in London. Yeah, that holds a ton of people. 90,000 people at Wembley Stadium. Opened in 1923. It's hosted multiple Summer Olympics, a World Cup final, the legendary Live Aid concert, several NFL games, and many more historic moments. So now I can add college football. With this, KU, of course, does lose a quote-unquote home game, at least a home game here in Lawrence. So they're going to have 6 at the new booth next year, and then they'll have 5 on the road and 1, of course, in London. And the kind of tough thing about that is the fact that of your 8 conference games that are going to be played on the mainland, 3 are going to be at home, 5 are going to be on the road, and of course that 9th one will be across the pond. But Travis Goff saying, quote, "This is the perfect time. This is the perfect moment in time for Kansas football to blaze an uncharted trail to historic Wembley Stadium in London. This opportunity is reflective of the growth and trajectory of our football program in the entire university and will provide our fans and student athletes an unprecedented experience. We're excited that our season ticket holders and students will still have 6 opportunities to watch a game at the booth next season as that project is being completed, while also having the chance to see the Jayhawks play international for the first time ever." End quote. And we can get into some more things that Travis Goff, Lance Leipold had to say, but we knew this was coming, or at least we had a hunch this was coming. Exciting opportunity. You do lose the home game, though, Dan. That's the thing, is you lose a game at the booth while it's under construction. Overall, your thoughts on this?
So I guess if it would be any other year, I would probably have a problem with this, right? Not a problem per se, because obviously it's great for exposure, right? It's great to go overseas and have that kind of national brand to be like, yeah, Wembley Stadium wants to host the Kansas Jayhawks in football. I mean, if you would have told me that back in 2012, 2015, I would have said, yeah, what, right. No, that's not happening. Like, what are we being relegated? Like, what's going on? But no, Kansas is now such a national brand, and shout out to Brett Yormark for working out this deal, because this is part of the Big 12 in general. This is just such a cool opportunity, I think. And again, the reason I am for this is because if it were any other year, I might have a little bit of pushback. Not for this year, for next year, because of the fact that David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium is going to be under construction, and the facility, the capacity is going to be underneath 40,000. It's going to be floating around like 30,000. It's going to be a construction zone. So if you can get rid of a home game in any year, do it next year while they're working on the stadium. That gives the construction crews another week to kind of prepare for, for the upcoming construction that's going to be happening all throughout next year. And even in 2027, they're going to be working on that east side, sort of the Gateway District in 2027. But I am a fan of this for that reason, because it takes away a home game. Yes, I understand that. Kansas fans travel well, and I think there's going to be a lot of Kansas fans who are going to be making that trip across the pond. Hopefully we can make that trip across the pond, because that would be awesome. I've been to London before. You know this.
Yes.
I had a British accent for about a week that I just couldn't get rid of. They just bled into me
Did you
for
see
some.
Big Ben?
I did.
Good.
I saw Big Ben. I walked on Abbey Road, the whole 9 yards. Man, it was great. Went to a pub every single night. It was awesome.
Yes.
But so, but London's great, and just in terms of national exposure, this is huge, right? Because of the fact that you're going to have so many more eyeballs on this Kansas program, and Jalen Daniels is not going to be there next year. So it's going to be exciting to see kind of who kind of leads the helm, right? You obviously, Lance Leipold will still be there. We'll still have a number of different guys from this year's squad who are going to be making the trip over. But this is really, really exciting. And plus, I think it also, because in the world of NIL
And the transfer portal.
there's so many guys who wind up leaving, right? There's so many guys who wind up leaving for one reason or another. They want just a different change of pace or different scenery. If you're telling these guys who might be a little frustrated with, just playing time or just want to leave, if you're telling them like, hey, we're going to go to London next year, play the first ever college game in Wembley Stadium, that's all the reason for them to stay. Plus, in addition, for transfers coming in as well. It's
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, flip it around and see, you say that you give that to transfers who are in the transfer portal. You say, hey, look, come to Kansas. We're building a fantastic program right now. Plus, we're going to go overseas to London
Experience
and
of a
play. It's going to
lifetime.
be an awesome experience. Exactly.
Yeah, Coach Leipold saying, quote, "We are thrilled to take Kansas football internationally to London for the 2026 Union Jack Classic. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our student athletes to travel and play internationally in the first ever college football game at Wembley Stadium. We're excited to be part of college football's international growth in its infancy as the sport continues to expand globally." End quote. We knew that, again, this was in the works. Coach Leipold wasn't able to comment on it specifically a couple weeks ago when asked about it, but talked very positively about international games as it relates to college football. And college football has made its way over there. First it was the NFL with the appetizer 8:30 in the morning games, which there's another one upcoming this week. And now college football, we saw, of course, K-State, Iowa State in Dublin. Not surprising that it's going to London. And I just think it's awesome that KU is going to be one of the two teams that's there introducing college football to London. And KU Arizona State, it's a conference game. It should be a competitive game. And the other thing, whereas I could understand the negativity from some, if there are some, when you look ahead to next season, and KU fans, while we can be emotional at times, we also have our heads on straight the most. It's going to be frustrating that you lose a game at home, but you understand the timing of it with the east side of the stadium still undergoing construction. And it's not like you're moving KU Mizzou. If you were moving the KU Mizzou game that's going to go down, it would be a completely different story. And that would never happen because people would never allow that. Travis Goff and Lance Lyle, that would never even be in question. That's the game in Lawrence next season. Tricky, of course, with the 8 conference games, 3 at home, 5 on the road here in the U.S., and then an additional challenge on the road. So it's going to be tricky. I mean, from a scheduling standpoint, it's going to be tougher for Kansas to get to a bowl game next year when you're talking home road than it maybe is this year because KU was able to have more games at home. But the timing just seems like it's right. And again, of all the college football programs out there, the fact that KU gets to be the one to break ground, if you will, for college football in London, that's awesome.
Do you know why it's called Union Jack, by the way?
Is it sponsored by Union Jack?
Union Jack is actually the name of the British flag.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Union refers to the unification of England, Scotland, and later Ireland, while Jack is a naval term for a small flag flown from the bowsprit of a ship.
That is very cool. All right, so it's not a sponsor.
No, it's not a sponsor. It's just it's like a old what's the name?
Very cool.
Old Ironside. No. What's the nickname for the US flag? I should know this. Am I not a patriot? What's going on?
Star-Spangled Banner.
Yeah. Old Betsy. Old Betsy. That's what it is. Old Betsy. That's right. Yeah. So Union Jack, Old Betsy, that kind of thing.
Shout out to Elijah Schmidt.
Shout out to Elijah Schmidt for giving us the answer. I will say this. I'm not a superstitious guy. I'm a little stitious, as you know.
Little stitious.
How much stake do you take in the overseas curse, if you will? Right? Kind of started with Nebraska.
You know me. I don't take a lot of stake in that.
Just
don't lose.
That's the thing. This is an important game, not just because of the fact that, hey, you want to win on a national stage, but because of the fact that, like, if you lose, overseas.
See,
What is history told you?
you're totally out on K-State this year. I mean, you're acting like K-State's a 2-10 team.
They're bad. They're bad. They're a bad team. They're a bad team. They have the worst offense in the Big 12 right now. Statistically,
One other quote that I want to get to, Brian Dubisky, chairman, CEO of the Union Jack Classic, saying, quote, "We are proud to make history by bringing American college football to London on a global stage. Hosting two elite Big 12 programs at Wembley Stadium positions this matchup as the premier international showcase for our sport, and we look forward to delivering an unforgettable experience for fans and partners worldwide." Absolutely awesome that KU is a part of this. September 19th, 2026. Of course, we'll ask Greeny his thoughts on this. Maybe he thinks something else of this. I don't know. But here in a couple segments on Rock Chalk Sports. KU basketball also in the news today, unofficially, like we talked about 10 minutes ago. Trent Perry, who's a 4-star small forward in the 2026 class, has committed to Kansas. He told Rivals, Perry, the second prospect to commit to KU this cycle, of course, joining either 4 or 5-star point guard Tay Kenny based on whatever you look at. But exciting, again, for Kansas, like you said a little bit ago, Dan. This is just the beginning of what seems like another great recruiting haul for Coach Self.
Right. And you love to see, because he was recruited by Curtis Townsend, but in terms of Tay Kinney, like, you love to see guys who have verbally committed. So he hasn't put pen to paper or anything. That gives you a really good idea of, okay, well, Tay Kenny's in. Like, he's absolutely 100% in, because he's getting other guys to come to Kansas as well. Like I said, he is the number 36 small forward in the nation. He's only 6'4". So in terms of being a small forward, you probably want to see him be a little taller. Maybe he could play that 2-3 spot. I don't know, but he's from Link Academy in Missouri, also a native of Frisco, Texas. He had Maryland and TCU in his top 3, as well as Kansas. Decided to come to Kansas. So Tay Kenny is having a lot of pull right now. So this is really cool that it's kind of trickling down, right? It all started with Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson was the one who basically, kind of got in the ear of, and I'm not taking away anything from the recruiting efforts of Coach Self and Curtis Townsend and all these guys, but having a guy like Darren Peterson, who's the number 1 guy in his class, presumably number 1 pick in the NBA draft next year, telling these future guys, hey, come to Kansas because they will get you to the league and they will get you in the right situation to be going to the league. Having that in your bag to be able to get Tay Kenny, and then Tay Kenny trickling down to Trent Perry, to Davion Adams, to Tyron Stokes, hopefully. This is going to continue for a long time, right? There's a kid in the class of 2027 right now who Kansas has ties with because of the same reason. There are guys who are talking about him trying to get his grades in order, and I won't go too far into it, but he's trying to get his grades in order to potentially even reclass to the class of 26 to be able to come up. So this is huge, huge news. And like you said, this is essentially I don't know, what you say, the second or third domino to fall in a number of different dominoes, I guess. But it's going to continue, and the class of 26 is going to continue to grow, and it's going to be one of the better recruiting classes in Kansas history, I think. I mean, just in terms of statistics-wise, in terms of guys who are wanting to buy in to come to Kansas, I mean, this is just absolutely stellar. It's probably going to be the best recruiting class since, 2013, that Connor Frankamp, Frank Mason class around there. Andrew Wiggins.
I love the first. I love that Wiggins is third, as Frank is first on that. Great,
Joel Embiid, I know.
Great poll. Yeah, Embiid wasn't even mentioned by you. Great stuff. Yeah, Perry saying that he felt like the proof of players being developed well. Coach Self and the staff's reputation really had him leaning toward KU. What's interesting too, it's not as if Kansas, has made a living out of the under-recruited guys. They've had a ton of under-recruited guys have great careers at KU, from a guy like Frank Mason to a guy like Mitch Lightfoot, right? Even though Lightfoot, I think, was maybe 4 stars for some of the sites. So that's definitely possible. But in today's day and age of NIL
and the transfer portal,
you need to make sure that the freshmen that you're bringing in are guys who could potentially be impactful.
Right.
Am I wrong? Because otherwise, I mean, if you're bringing in guys who you're not totally sure, not to say that program guys don't still exist, and we feel confident with some of the guys that we still have, but you have the ability now to go into the portal and to get really talented players who can start right away. And we're going to see some of those guys this upcoming season. So if you're still recruiting freshmen, as you should be, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you get top tier guys, and that's why there's only so many Darren Petersons out there, right? Very few, in fact. So if you're going to get freshmen, well, make sure you're getting top tier guys. And it really seems like KU, not that they hadn't in the past, but when they're going out and they're signing these high school kids, they are confident. They know these guys can be impactful right away.
Yeah, it has to be a guy who has to be impactful right away. And just in recent history, right, you look at some guys like Marquise Passmore, who very unfortunately, by the way, I saw it on Twitter, he unfortunately tore his Achilles. But I mean, that's a guy who we were super high on, and it's just in terms of depth, like he just wasn't getting the playing time that he wanted. If he would have stuck around at Kansas, Marquise Passmore would have been such a key piece in future Kansas teams. But it's just so easy, and I'm not dogging on anybody, right? That's just the way that it's formatted right now. That's the way of NIL and the transfer portal. That's how it goes. It's like, okay, well, I'm not getting playing time here. These guys over here, they really want me, and they're throwing a bag at me. I mean, I don't know, if you're 19 years old and you're sitting on the bench and some other team goes, hey, I have $1 million check in my hands right now for you to come play with us, it's going to be hard to say no. Like, I totally get it, right? I totally understand why guys decide to wind up leaving. So program guys are kind of becoming a thing of the past, really. And it's unfortunate. That's just the way that things go as of right now with the scape of how the NCAA is working. So yeah, to your point, you absolutely have to get freshmen who are going to make an impact right away. And look, TK and Trent Perry, those guys could very easily be guys. Tyron Stokes as well. Also, he hasn't verbally committed, but we know that they're hot on his tail. Those are guys who can make an impact right away. We absolutely know that for a fact.
And the bottom line is the coaches, all coaches in college basketball, they're not stupid, right? They understand where we're at right now, where you got to load up with as many talented guys as you can. Realistically, there's only so many minutes to give.
True.
Right? And KU getting a couple highly touted guys doesn't mean they're not going to try and get a talented point guard or shooting guard in the transfer portal. They'd be silly not to, right? You want to build as strong of a roster as possible. And as the season rolls on, particularly as we saw last year, there's only so many minutes to give, and guys are going to get opportunities. And if they don't take those opportunities, or if they don't exceed when those opportunities arise, then it's not surprising to see them go away. Again, Marquise Passmore, who, like you said, torn Achilles, and that really sucks for him. He's going to miss this season at Maryland. A guy that I know KU fans were high on, a guy I know coaches were high on, but the minutes just weren't there for him last year. And you get it, right? You understand that guys are going to want to move on, depending on different situations and dollar amounts, honestly, minutes, that sort of thing. But that being said, getting back to my original point, if you're going to go get freshmen, get really talented guys. And there's no surprise that Bill Self and the KU coaching staff continues to do that. And the portal will be active again after this upcoming season, but it's nice knowing that KU has a couple really talented freshmen in the meantime. Hey, after this, we're going to hear from KU tight end Boden Groen, who spoke to the media yesterday. KU looking forward to their tilt at the Bounce House Saturday at 6:30 against UCF. You're watching Rock Chalk Sports, listening to ESPN Kansas City, watching KansasNation.com.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. KU tight end Boden Groen, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown, a very athletic touchdown.
Yeah.
He had to adjust over opposite shoulder to catch that TD from Jalen Daniels. But a career day for the Rice transfer, and he met with the media yesterday.
Good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. So when Deshaun goes down early in the game, I guess how, if at all, does your mindset change knowing you're going to get a lot more time?
Really, it didn't change at all. We've been rotating through and doing all that stuff all year, so I was just, if anything, gotta get my lungs a little bit better. But that was really the only change, was being a little bit more tired.
How are you always open?
Z's always drawing up those little plays where, don't want to give anything away, but he's confusing the defense, and it's worked out nicely for me, so I'm very thankful for that.
When you're running routes, do you know how open you are sometimes?
I can definitely feel it sometimes, yeah, for sure.
How are you? What was the process like of making that catch for your touchdown? It seemed like it required an adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, I took off and run up the hash and see the ball in the air, and you just kind of go into pure instinct mode and throw your hands up there and hope and pray, and then come down with it. Very happy about that. Yeah.
Boden, in the past, Kansas has used a lot of tight ends. Were you familiar with the offense before you committed, and how much they use tight ends?
Yeah, I was, and that was obviously one of the reasons that I came here, is the production that they've had and all the multiple different ways and multiple different people and body types they've used in that position. So it's an awesome system for this position.
And then what have you seen from Central Florida on film?
Obviously they're a good football team, and we're going to run into good football teams every single week in this conference. They definitely have some speed, and it's going to be a good, hard battle.
How do you feel about where the tight end unit is at with blocking so far this season?
I think there's definitely some hard downs, and we're getting better every single week. And I think they really challenged us to take a step up and play more physical. And I think we really responded to that this week and played physical. And obviously Carson is a monster of a man and throws dudes down all the time. So he's a great dude to have.
Yeah, how would you characterize the week of practice so far overall?
It's been good. I think the team is responding well to this little bit of adversity, and everybody's flying around and really passionate about getting back on track.
What's it been like developing a connection with Jalen just over the course of camp and the start of the season? And do you feel like you guys have a good kind of, just connection?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like that's one of the things that's really more on me, because he's got I got to earn my trust with him, and I think that's something that worked on throughout the fall, and definitely over the last couple of weeks I've built more trust with him, and he's more ready to rip the ball to me.
What's your relationship like with Coach Luby?
He's great. He's funny. We have a good time in our room, and he's a great coach because he's never really ripping us too hard, and nobody's walking out of that meeting all down and dejected. And we address what we need to address and get that fixed, but everybody walks out on that field with confidence, and he's a good guy to play for.
I know you said you can kind of feel that you're open, but has it ever surprised you, like when you make your cut and you turn around and just sort of, hey, nobody's around?
It's really, it's you get the ball, turn up, and you go, oh crap, I got 15 to 20 yards here, so get excited about that, and then start thinking about what I'm going to do.
What do you think is the next step for the offense on third down?
I think we're really just we're so close, and we've been moving the ball so great, and we're putting up points, and it's just getting rid of that mistake here and there, that small little thing, to just finish in the end zone every single drive and not settle for those field goals.
Run game as a whole, you guys have had your moments obviously this year, but kind of going back to the blocking element on that front too. What are the conversations like regarding that and making sure that the run game stays top tier?
They're drawing up everything every single week, and they know how we can get big gashes in the run game, also go downhill a couple yards, maintain some drives, and those short yardage situations too. I mean, really, we just gotta keep hammering on it, getting better every single week, getting more and more reps with this unit, and the O-line and all of us tight ends working through, and just all getting more and more comfortable with each other and building more chemistry, and getting more reps under the belt.
Boden, can you get another year, and is that something you've kind of talked about with the staff?
I cannot.
You cannot?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
They're trying to bring the dad back.
That's KU tight end Boden Groen with a really sick hoodie again.
It's awesome.
I mean, that was straight from Lance Leipold's closet.
They're gatekeeping that stuff, man. I'm telling you. Like, if they put that out, if they sold that to the public, I would lose all of my money just buying that stuff.
That's so cool. But hey, a career day for Groen. KU's lost to Cincinnati on Saturday. After this, we're talking KU football, KU basketball, all things KU with Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World. So stick around. You're listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Kellerman and Daniel Courtwright, Henry Greenstein here KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City. Henry comes to us from KUSports.com, the Lawrence Journal World, and the Golden State. Henry, appreciate it as always. So much to get into. We spoke, of course, in the opening segment about the news that came out for KU football, the alleged news that came out for KU basketball. According to Rivals, Trent Perry going to head to Lawrence for next season. Let's start on the football side of things. We'll talk Cincinnati, but first, your reaction to the news that we figured was coming about KU playing in London. Really cool opportunity on the positive side for KU to be one of two teams who is breaking in Wembley Stadium from college football side of things. You do lose a home game, of course, in the 2026 season, but your thoughts overall on that?
Yeah, this all kind of came out of nowhere when we first heard about it in September, but by this time we've kind of all had some time to digest it. And, I understand Travis Goff's rationale, the idea being if you were ever going to do this, it should be 2026 when you'd be playing at reduced capacity.
Right.
So, like, they won't want to lose home games nearly as much. And you never want to lose them, of course, but they won't want to lose them nearly as much in future years when the stadium is all done on that east side. So, during a year where you're not going to be making as much revenue from home games, you might as well take something that is financially beneficial to begin with, in terms of participating in the event. And yeah, I think it'll be really exciting for a lot of KU alumni in particular. I'm sure those who live abroad are really excited about this opportunity because they don't get to see the Jayhawks too often. KU and Arizona State is an interesting matchup, kind of an unusual one.
I'm sure it's particularly
Henry
interesting to
Greenstein
you.
Bowl, though.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, yes. But I think the one thing that gives me pause about it, and I may have said this before when we talked about this, is the placement during the season. And Yormark was asked about this today on the presser, and he kind of said something about, his usual kind of stuff about how he always wants to push the envelope and do unusual things that haven't been done before. But, part of the reason why the Aer Lingus Classic gets so many eyes in week 0 is because it's the only thing going on.
Yeah, it's week 0. Yeah.
Yeah, and because networks are like solely devoted to it. I don't know that that's quite the case when you play a game on September 19th. So we'll see, can they get maybe an earlier time slot, like a 10 a.m. or something, so they're at least a little before everyone else. That would obviously be mid-afternoon London time, which is a little weird, but we'll see exactly how they choose to handle that. And then another thing that gives me pause is that they haven't actually finalized the waiver to get the Middle Tennessee game moved to week 0 yet. KU's waiver is finalized, but according to Travis Goff, Middle Tennessee's hasn't yet gone through. They do have a backup plan in case that somehow doesn't work out, but I am a little surprised they chose to announce this before getting that set in stone. They're trying to move that game to week 0, as I said, whereas Arizona State's game against Hawaii has now been moved to week 5 or 6. So different approaches from the two schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at KU's schedule for 2026, it's interesting right off the top because one of your favorite teams, one of your favorite beverages KU has in week 1 when Long Island comes to town. And then after that, Henry, we've got the Mizzou Tigers on September 12th. You better win that game, right? Because of a variety of reasons. But if you lose that game, there's a saying, oh boy, it's going to be a long flight back. Well, September 12th, you're at home, and then September 19th, you're going to England. So that's going to be a long flight either way. But yeah, MTSU, that has not yet been moved. You would think after the September 19th game across the pond that KU would have a bye week after that. So at least there's that. But in terms of conference games, this is, of course, one of KU's home games. And you touched on it a little bit. You'll only have 3 games in Lawrence in Big 12 and 5 on the road in addition to this one in England. So the timing works out. It's just kind of a bummer on that side of things that of your 9 Big 12 games, it's not the year that you would normally get 5 at home.
Yeah, it didn't align perfectly in that respect, for sure. On the one hand, if things don't go well against Missouri, they'll be on a plane to England on that Wednesday, and they'll immediately be distracted.
Right. You know what? That's true.
So you can put it that way. But I'm sure you, Sean, in particular, are not even willing to comprehend the possibility that things won't go well against Missouri.
No. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
But that's very far in the future. We don't have to think about that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJ World, joins us here in studio on Mass Street. Henry, got to put a bow on the Cincinnati loss, obviously. Some things that kind of crept in that were some issues from last year, right? Definitely at the end of the game. But Jalen had a fantastic game through the air as well as on the ground. Emmanuel Henderson really came into his own with 214. Just what did you see out of those guys? What were some positives that you pulled out of that Cincinnati game before we start getting into, what happened down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, the offense was excellent with the exception of their red zone woes, which have already been discussed at length this week, I'm sure. Jalen looks like everything we thought he could be entering this year. Fumbles will always continue to dog him, and he hasn't quite had the defining clutch drive that you hope maybe he can get at some point this year, but the numbers are undeniable. He just put up one of the best statistical performances for a KU quarterback in program history. And Emmanuel Henderson, this is exactly what we thought he could be. Like, this is not a surprise to those who were following the program. Maybe it will come as a surprise to those who were not paying as close attention in the offseason. But 214 yards, most yards by a KU wideout since Steven Sims in 2017. And it's easy to rack up those yards after the catch when there's like no one remotely near you.
Right.
I don't know what the Cincinnati DB was doing on that second touchdown, nor do I really know what the Cincinnati DB was doing on the first touchdown. But even so, I think it's a testament to the threat he provides. Now, what I want to see going forward is how do opposing teams try to game plan for him, and how does that maybe affect what else KU chooses to do on offense?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you got to start thinking that if they start game planning for him, that's going to open things up for guys like Bryson Canty, Cam Pickett, Levi Wentz, those kind of guys as well. Keaton Kubeka, who had probably his best game as a Jayhawk against Cincinnati. Now, let's look at the flip side of it, right? I mean, obviously going down with Kansas, a minute 17 left. It's 4th and 10. You'd think they would get a stop, but apparently that was too much to ask for. Just what did you see out of that last minute 45 after the Levi Wentz go-ahead touchdown, and how do you think Kansas can improve on that?
Yeah, it reminds you of last year, not only because they allowed a game-winning touchdown drive late, but because there were so many things where if one thing went slightly differently, they still win the game anyway. I mean, you think about it, it's like if Trey Lathan catches the interception, the game is over. But it's still 4th and 10 on Cincinnati's own 35.
Yeah.
If that guy doesn't make the one-handed catch, the
Right.
game is over. And even after the one-handed catch, Cincinnati still has to go 47 yards in 58 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not really sure what to make of this team anymore. After the West Virginia game, I thought this was the best defense of the Lance Leipold era. Now, I mean, they allowed 600 yards to Cincinnati, so it's kind of hard to reconcile those two performances. And talking to DK about it yesterday, he even kind of admitted that the missed assignments and the poor alignments, things like that, had not shown up in previous games. That it was really that much of a departure. So I don't know. We may ultimately come to look at this as an aberration. Certainly, there were some things that paralleled what we had seen in other games. There were some aspects of it that resembled Missouri, but I didn't know that the KU defense had like this poor of a performance in them. So I'm not really sure what awaits them next. I had been talking throughout the beginning of the season about how despite all the young cornerback and safeties they had, and they had still been playing up to their level, on Saturday it looked like a pretty young secondary. So I think honestly that the onus may be even more on the defensive line to get better pressure. They were doing that in the early weeks. Cincinnati's offensive line is really good, obviously. KU got 1 sack, which was one more than anyone else had gotten. But I do think beginning this Saturday against UCF, that group, given that it is the strength of the team, given how much those players talk about being the engine of the defense, they have to take some of the burden off of a secondary that has maybe now looked a little vulnerable.
Do you see a little 2024 ASU and 2025 Cincinnati? I mean, people didn't expect a ton out of them in the preseason, but Sorsby looks like a high-quality quarterback. People weren't talking about Sam Levitt before the season, and all of a sudden they have a dynamic offense. Cincinnati's got a great offensive line. They've got a ton of playmakers that came from big-time programs on the outside, and that's not to give our guys an excuse, but it seems like Cincy could be the real deal in the Big 12.
Yeah, and Cincinnati did beat Arizona State last year.
Yeah,
right.
Right. As strange as that was.
Strangely enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the receiving core from Cincinnati maybe doesn't get enough attention. Those guys looked really good. Some of them familiar names. I was really impressed by Cyrus Allen. He had double-digit catches and a couple touchdowns. Certainly at this point, it's really hard to say what to expect from the Big 12. But I do think the Bearcats could make some noise down the line.
We talked also about kind of the similarities. The UNLV game is the first one that came to our mind when we were watching that unfold, because Kansas had, 9 different players that seemed like unable to pick up the football last year at Children's Mercy Park. And then you had the Trey Lathan opportunity at the interception, which also made contact with Lyric Rawls. One thing BMAC said when he came on the postgame locker room show with me is, hey, there's plays to be made, and you either make them or you don't. And that's been the problem is KU hasn't made those winning plays when it matters. How much of that is mental to you? Because we know these guys can make the plays. Trey Lathan had a pick, almost had a pick six the week prior, and they just were unable to get it. I wonder how much, even though it's a different roster from last year, it gets in these guys' head because they want it so much.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is I thought this was a fresh start. Like I thought that the results of last year would have no bearing on what happened this year with regard to those late game situations. But now maybe you wonder if that starts to creep in a little bit more because I don't know if they're snake bit, but this team really, particularly on the defensive end, has struggled to shut down these late game critical drives. And you think about BYU last year, that was when the defense went out and won. But otherwise, um, watching this game but hopefully not playing it if you're a KU player, it's hard to have much confidence that they're going to be able to come up with a crucial stop when it's most needed.
Henry Greenstein, ksports.com, Lawrence Journal World joins us here in studio. Henry wanted to look ahead to UCF. UCF just lost to Kansas State, who I am way down on Kansas State. Sean still thinks that they're a pretty good team. They have the worst offense in the Big 12, but UCF still wound up losing to them. They have two quarterbacks right now, both with AC sprains. Cam Fancher's coming back from a back injury that he got in week 1. He's presumably going to be the starter. What are you seeing out of this UCF program? And just give us kind of a preview of what we can see down at the Bounce House this weekend.
Yeah, I think I'm confused by them too, much as I am by KU at this point. But certainly the three quarterbacks, we came into the West Virginia game thinking about them potentially using up to 5 quarterbacks, but this is a bit different. DK McDonald said effectively that UCF runs the same offense no matter who's at quarterback, which I tend to agree with, although I do think that if it's Jakari Brown, that's a much more of a rushing threat and less of a passing threat. He did have a great stat line against Kansas State where he went 1 of 2 for like 82 yards, had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So we'll see what happens this time around. But I do tend to agree with you that I think Fancher is probably the most likely starter at this point, given that he was the week 1 starter, given that he is more available now after the injury. The rest of the offense, I think it's interesting how UCF's receiving core could potentially test KU. We just finished talking about how much trouble the secondary had last week. Now they're going up against these big transfer guys, people like DJ Black, and then you also have a smaller, agile receiver in Dwayne Thomas. UCF's offensive line, I feel, is a weakness. And so that comes back to what I said about KU's defensive ends and their pass rush having to have a good game. I think that's a matchup to watch. Other side of the ball, UCF's own defensive end group is pretty good. But I do think that, UCF has some decent defensive stats on the year, but I do think this will be a chance for Jalen and the offense to kind of continue their production and put together another nice showing all around.
And talk about fresh starts, I guess just a restart for Scott Frost, right? I mean, Scott Frost had so much success bringing UCF to national prominence, have a national championship, right? Technically. Then he went to Nebraska, didn't exactly pan out there. Obviously, his alma mater, he was a legend there, got fired and sort of went out in a blaze of fury, spent a couple of years in the NFL. Now he's back at UCF. Tell me how you think this second Scott Frost reign is working as opposed to the first time he was there at UCF.
Well, I mean, it's a higher climb back to prominence when you're in a tougher conference, which they certainly are with the Big 12. I think that might be a key element of this situation. UCF, with the size of the school, with the size of the alumni base, with where they're located in the country, with the recruiting pipelines they've established, like this should be a really good program. I'm not going to say sleeping giant, but they have like the resources available to them to become a high level program in the Big 12. I think it may take a little bit. Certainly Frost has shown the ability to build programs, but KU's probably lucky that they're getting them at this point in the rebuild, kind of like with West Virginia a couple weeks ago. When Rich Rod has more of his guys, and that will be a vastly more threatening team. But yeah, I think Scott Frost has earned a lot of respect, notwithstanding how Nebraska went, simply by some of the unprecedented stuff that he did his first time around in Orlando, and as you referenced, earned the admiration of the Collie Matrix or whatever it was, enough to give them a national title. Was it the Collie Matrix?
Is that what it is?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay.
They have it. They put it in their stadium.
Oh,
so.
no, they've got it on the outside of the practice facility too. I saw it last time I was down there.
Yeah. Hey, they killed Auburn in that Peach Bowl, so that was
a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry Greenstein joins us here in studio, and I don't need a score from you, Henry, but I want a confident confidence level that Kansas is going to go down and win. Because if you win,
70%.
I was going to set the over under 70%. If you go down and win, you're 4-2, 2-1. You're feeling okay, right? Even though you lost to your bitter rival and you lost a game at home in a back and forth affair. But Kansas right now, honestly, is going up against a team that has a lot of question marks. Like, we know that they're viewed by the prognosticators as small favorites, but if KU plays even their B game, I would think they're going to have success because of some of the things that you mentioned. They're not strong on their offensive line. Kansas should be very strong on the defensive front, and certainly Kansas offense should be able to score. So what's your confidence? I'm very confident, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah, I do think that the odds makers may be underselling KU a little bit, just scared by what the defense did last week, and also uh, very much valuing playing a night game in the bounce house. It is a good environment. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, but I do think having KU as a 5.5-point favorite maybe undersells them a little bit, considering that UCF like barely beat Jacksonville State at home start the season, and I don't think anyone really knows how good North Carolina is, so I'm not sure how valuable that win.
I think they're bad.
Well, you're entitled to that opinion. But I say about 75-25 for me. I can't say 70%.
No, of course not.
Slightly higher.
I'm thinking I'm going to go KU by a touchdown for my prediction. I do think UCF could keep this close. I think there could be rain. It could be an ugly game. We all hope for no weather delays. KU's had one weather delay each of the last 3 seasons, and I kind of circled Orlando as a place where they would seem likely to get them. And sure enough, you look at the forecast, there's a lot of rain coming in. So you hope that doesn't end up affecting the game, but we'll see.
You know who loves a good weather delay?
Jordan Gusky. That's
Yes,
absolutely
Speaking
right.
Capital Journal,
Loves
friend
the
of the
good
show.
weather, like friend of the
Yes.
show. Henry, I want to switch over to basketball right now because in recent news, Trent Perry has verbally committed to Kansas. We haven't talked to you about Tay Kinney yet, the number 1 point guard in the class of 26, number 17 overall player in the class of 26 as well. Speak on Tay Kinney and his fit, because it's kind of crazy. I was talking about this yesterday, how Darren Peterson hasn't even played a second, and we already know who's going to be replacing him for next year, assuming that he goes to the NBA draft. Just talk about Tay Kinney.
Whoa. Let's not make assumptions.
I know. We can't make assumptions, but I feel pretty confident that he'll be going to the NBA draft. But talk about Tay Kinney, as well as some of these other dominoes that are starting to fall with Trent Perry. Davion Adams is hot on their trail. Tyron Stokes as well. But talk about these 2 guys.
Yeah, so I think it always gets the fan base excited when you can have these dominoes fall like this, and maybe another one to come on Sunday. We'll see what happens with Davion Atkins, but Tay Kinney, we talked about him a little bit before. 6'3" point guard, has all the offensive skills you would hope, has the confidence, is prepared to kind of slot in and fill the same role that Darren Peterson did. Now, that is interesting to me that he kind of likes that Bill Self is turning over the keys to the program to him, because if they get Tyron Stokes, they may have to split those keys.
Right, yeah.
Multiple key rings.
Make a copy.
Yeah, exactly. But I really like the Tay Kinney pickup. It's a great way to set a tone with start of your class. Obviously, he's a guy with a big outsized online presence and a big name, and maybe he sways other people to join him. He's already been trying to do that, if you read what he told Joe Tipton after his commitment. And then Trent Perry today, kind of the other end of the spectrum, more of a developmental guy, but he seems like someone who will embrace the role of taking time to develop, based on what he said on the CBS live stream where he announced it. Like Self has a history of taking these kind of lower ranked, under recruited guys and molding them into professional players, and that's why Perry picked KU. He's an athletic, long forward. He embraces the defensive end. He has a lot of work to do as a shooter, and with his consistency. But this is maybe the kind of guy where you see him blossom after multiple years in the program if you can keep him around.
Yeah, we love talking starting lineups, right? And I'm going to put you on the spot for 2026 only because, Kansas fans, we're so obsessed with KU basketball that, we could be talking about a 2032 starting lineup at this point. But 2026, there's some guys you think are going to leave, and we're not going to, let's just for argument's sake say we don't bring anybody in the transfer portal. That's not realistic. But there's a lot of guys, rising sophomores, rising juniors for the Kansas team for 2026. Who do you like on that front? Because it's easy to get excited about some of these guys who are potentially second, third, fourth year in the program.
Yeah, roster retention will be as important as it's been for KU in the portal era after the 2025-26 season. Peterson's going to go to the NBA, but if you think about the prospect of, well, first, I think the first big thing to determine will be how good of a season does Flory have? Is he going pro? Right now, we probably think he would, but we don't know for sure how well the transition to being a featured player will go for him. If Flory goes pro, we were talking about this off air, the idea of a Bryson Tiller and Paul Mbia front court's really appealing. The length they have, the contrasting skill sets, that's really good. Then you add that on to the idea of a second-year Cole Rosario, which could be really exciting. A veteran, Elmarco Jackson, who has more experience. There's a lot of pieces that you find quite compelling. And really, the only people who are guaranteed to leave after this year, besides Peterson, are the transfers. So much young talent for them to build around at this point. Of course, we have no idea who's going to stay in the offseason. We learned that this past offseason. But it's really appealing to see kind of the pieces that they're now pairing with these incoming freshmen.
Well, I'm taking that as here's what I'm gonna guess. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're putting Mbia at the 5. Bryson Tiller has called himself a 4-3, so you could look at that as two bigs if Tiller's the 4, but maybe he can play a little bit more on the wing. Jackson, Rosario, and then maybe Tay Kenny.
Yeah, for sure.
Semi-reliable. Obviously, it's going to be totally
mind.
different when portal season happens and all that, but exciting to look forward for KU basketball. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, Henry, was KU volleyball. The sky hasn't been falling at any point, but KU, another heartbreaker on Friday. They were able to come back on Sunday and sweep Arizona. The dang 5-set matches have been a problem. Now you've got 2 matches, one tonight at 6:30. TCU and Baylor Wednesday and Friday. Both teams are ranked in the top 15. How bad does this KU volleyball team need to have a good 3-day stretch here? Because they've stuck together, but they've also had a lot of heartbreakers.
Yeah, you're encouraged by the fact that they did better on the road later in their non-conference slate. They can pick up at least one of these, but TCU's been really impressive thus far. They're always a good program, but they, like ASU, ended up beating Penn State after KU almost beat Penn State. But I just wonder how KU's growing into this new system. They've experimented with a 6-2, which I think I had maybe alluded to before, the idea that you can theoretically get 2 setters out there and make use of both of them.
Sorry, I didn't want to interject really quick. I know we only have 30 seconds or so. What's going on with the Katie Dalton, Kristen Klein? Because that's just so rare. They're both captains, and you don't really know who you're going to see each game, right?
Yeah, but now, ever since that ASU game, they've been running more of a 2-setter system, which I think actually makes a lot of sense. It's not always something you see at the highest levels, but this team definitely makes it as one to do it. Now, it does detract from them in other ways, but I'm really interested to see how that progresses heading into these road matches.
Yeah, so interesting, right? It's not something we've seen in a while, right? And Katie Dalton, she's been here for a long time, and it's crazy that you've got a program girl who's a senior and then a all Big Ten performer in Klein come over, and hopefully they start meshing really well. It'd be great to get a win or two these next 3 days for KU volleyball. Henry, thanks for joining us on the show today, and hey, we'll chat with you on Saturday. Talk KU football.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. 5 o'clock hour coming up. Send in your mailbag questions at the Kansas Nation. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
5 o'clock hour here at KansasNation.com. Rock Chalk Sports rolls on. Big thanks to Henry Greenstein, the Lawrence Journal World, and KUSports.com for coming in studio. One of our favorite guests. Really appreciate that. He is going to be heading down to Orlando for the KU UCF game, and I, for his sake, hope that there's good weather. I hope there's no weather delays. I don't want it to be too long of a day there, and certainly want him to get back at a reasonable time. Great coverage, though, and you got to get the sunshine in the Sunshine State.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if there is a weather delay, I mean, it's well documented how Kansas is able to, what they do in those weather delays, right? How they handle the weather delays, those kind of things. It is really well documented how they handle that. So, obviously there's some rain in the forecast, I guess. Also, it's kind of like a sweaty armpit down there right now, and it's October, man.
Hey, I do want to shout out Jordan Gusky, though, Topeka Capital Journal, who is
friend of the show,
all the press conferences, friend of the show, and
also shout out to Miles Schneier and Crown Automotive
and
out here.
Zenith
Winery, absolutely. But Crown Automotive, man, south of town. I live right by there, and every time I drive by, I see that electric VW bus. I just want it so bad. It's so cool, dude. It's so cool.
We'll see if you can take it for a spin.
I know. We need to do that as like a promo thing, right? I can test drive the VW electric bus. I am fascinated by those.
I'll be on the outside of the vehicle when you do that.
Yeah, that's fair. You rode in the car with me today.
Yes, I did.
I only swerved a couple of times.
Dan and I had a quick trip over to Kansas City for a company meeting, and actually tried to go to Joe's Kansas City after to get a little barbecue flair. Like, yeah, we're in Kansas City. When in Rome. Didn't work out.
No.
Line was too long, even at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday or whatever time.
What did we go to
So
Winefields?
then
What was I can't remember.
We sort of did a hot route, and we went over to Winstead's.
Winstead's.
Anybody out there know Winstead's? Oh, great diner.
Triple smash burger.
With over 13 locations. No. We got some triple smash burgers, and I got the ring tot combo.
Yeah.
And,
I got a cherry limeade. They throw a dollop of sherbet in there.
Oh, man.
It's incredible.
It's so good.
I've never had it before. I never even heard about it. And then
yeah. Shout out to Winstead's.
Sean, it reminds him of his childhood, right? Because it's a 1950s style diner, and Sean is so old.
Hey, so I gotta tell you this about Winstead's. I can't believe I didn't. So it was the place to go on your birthday because they have the skyscraper.
I'm sorry?
Skyscraper. It's this giant, like, ice cream milkshake hybrid. It's like bigger than these bottles of wine.
Oh, I'd love that.
I know, and it's just, I mean, so you throw like 7 straws in it, and you just go to town.
That's incredible.
Great. Shout out to Winstead's. But
Shout out
yes,
to Winstead's.
Really grateful for our partnership with Cron Automotive. Big thanks to Miles there.
Shout out to Cron Automotive.
Hey, KU Mailbag segment. Appreciate everybody who has sent in questions, comments on Twitter at the Kansas Nation. Let's get this started with my pal Cal. Calvin says, how bad would game management be for KU to be looked at under a magnifying glass?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take this one because I'm confident in this answer. So Calvin says, how bad would the game management stuff from Lance have to be to feel a warm seat? I think that's a fair question, right? Because like you can look at any coach and be like, all right, well, what's the line, right? Of when it starts to put pressure on them. I think that it doesn't matter because Lance Leipold has. I think KU football fans, Calvin in particular. I know Calvin personally; he's a good guy.
What is he?
He has
saying?
He has very short memory.
Okay,
right?
So what is he? That was what I was wanting to ask. Specifically, what plays or drives is Calvin talking about?
So in terms of the last 2 minutes of the game.
Okay. So on the defensive side.
On the defensive side, yes. So, and we understand that that's not necessarily like Lance lets kind of the D coordinators do the D coordinator stuff. Obviously, he oversees everything, right? But the defense is mainly on DK McDonald and all of those other guys. You do not have to worry about any kind of warm seats or hot seats or whatever it may be because, again, KU football fans have short memories, which I think is a bad thing because they forget what it was like prior to Lance Leipold. You look at the Charlie Weiss era, the David Beatty era, the Les Miles era, all of these eras where Kansas football was Turner Gill, so horrible. So horrible football. And Lance Leipold emerges Kansas football from the ashes. They have a brand new stadium that Lance Leipold essentially built, right? Without Lance, that stadium does not get built. Obviously, Travis Goff is a big part of it as well. There's no chance he's here, right? I think that everybody else should realize that, like, hey, it doesn't happen overnight. And it's hard to do it in 5 years. And Lance has done it in 5 years. Now, are we a college football playoff level, national championship level caliber program? Not yet. Kansas will potentially be, right? Kansas has that ceiling. We haven't hit the ceiling yet because these things don't happen overnight. So I think this is a ridiculous question to even ask.
Okay, so I want to get back to the question because the question was about game management. I'm assuming he's talking about the Cincinnati game, which confuses me in general. The only thing I can think of game management wise, I mean, Kansas in the first half needs to be better at the end of halves, and certainly there were 2 big gashing run plays for Cincinnati where they were able to get the field goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Like we talked about before, players got to make plays. KU's defense has got to be better. Whether you're playing a prevent defense or something that's like a prevent defense, you got to make sure that running backs aren't getting into the secondary.
Yeah.
Right? The only other thing I could think of, because that last drive Kansas had, you were going to score with time on the clock. There was no way Kansas was going to be able to score with zeros on the clock with how that drive went. So they scored. They took off a lot of time and scored with 1:45. Okay, at some time, you got to get your defense to make a stop.
Mm-hmm.
Only other thing I can think of is the Emmanuel Henderson kickoff return where the ball might have gone out of bounds, and Emmanuel Henderson took it and ran, and I think KU lost 2 seconds on that front. He could have risked it, and he could have had the ball go out of bounds. KU would have had it at the 35 with 29 seconds. Maybe that's something that's pointed to. Is that worth a risk? Probably not, especially when there's still the chance that a guy like Henderson can make a big play on that front. So, yeah.
Game management.
Appreciate the
game
question.
management was good.
Appreciate the question from Calvin, but yeah, I think there's plays to be made, like we talked about. Colin wants to know if the season ended right now in the NFL, who is your underdog for the Super Bowl? So who's your underdog or who's your dark horse?
He said underdog. I'm gonna go with dark horse though.
Okay.
Because underdog is like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, that could be
the Jets.
That could be the Bills or 1-point underdogs.
Right. Well, yeah. Also
I mean,
that. Yeah. You want to go with dark horse?
Yeah. Dark horse Super Bowl.
I have a couple in mind. Do you have anything in mind?
I'll let you cook.
This is gonna be crazy, and Chiefs fans are not gonna like this. I kind of like the Chargers.
This is a good opportunity to remind people that Dan liked the Ravens minus 2.5 at Arrowhead. I like the Chiefs. I like Pacheco to score.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Chargers are 3-1. I don't know that you can go with a team that's 3-1 or better.
Okay. Fine. No team that's 3-1 or better. Okay. What is the? The Ravens are 1-3 right now. If they get healthy,
I guess you could go with them.
I mean, if they get healthy, like they're a good team. What are the Lions as of right now?
Lions are 3-1.
Okay, Lions are 3-1, so that negates them.
The 2007 Patriots. Is that who you want to go with next?
No.
Okay,
all right. Dark horse. Let me roll through. Is it crazy of me to say the Rams?
The Rams are 3-1.
Dang it!
We got to go through a new question, man. The 3-1 stipulation didn't go well for
nobody
you.
Nobody has the Rams on their Super Bowl radar right now. Absolutely nobody has the Rams on their Super Bowl radar. I think they're a good damn team. I think that they could potentially, if the season ended right now, why not?
I'm gonna do the really easy thing. I'm gonna say the Chiefs. No, just kidding. But seriously, the Chiefs are 2-2. They're good. And then in order for people to hate me after saying that, I'm going to say the Broncos at 2-2.
I hate you.
Broncos are 2-2. I mean, that's solid. But yeah, dark horse, it's tough. I mean, the Texans are 1-3. You mentioned the Ravens are 1-3. The Texans aren't an actual threat by any stretch.
No.
Yeah, it's a good question because I think the teams are kind of going to be the teams moving forward.
Yeah. See, the Packers are good, obviously. Lions are good. Those NFC North teams are good. I know I'm just going through all the good teams, which is I know that's such a cheap. The Rams is a legit answer.
They're 3-1.
I know they're 3-1, but some people might think it's a fraudulent 3-1. I don't think it's a fraudulent 3-1. I think the Rams are a very good football team. It came down to the wire against the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Eagles. So I don't know. I like them. If it ended right now, they're my dark horse. Even though they're 3-1, I still think the Rams could potentially win the Super Bowl right now.
I'm just shocked you didn't go Eagles there. Brian says, if you catch a ball worth a good deal of money, like Cal Raleigh's 60th home run, are you giving it back to the player in exchange for a signed bat, jersey, meeting them, etc., like some do, or are you selling that thing at an auction? This is one of my favorite questions.
I love this question.
I love this question. First of all, the fan who caught Mike Trout's 400th career homer, I wanted to bring this up on the show a week or two ago. Coolest thing I've ever seen. He caught the ball. He didn't want anything. He didn't want a signed bat, ball, any of that. He wanted to play catch with Mike Trout on the field.
Man, that's cool.
So they went out and played catch.
That's so cool.
On the field.
For how long?
English wasn't, I don't think English was his first language. I don't know how long they played, but that's so cool. And I would hope that, Mike Trout's certified good dude, right?
Yeah, of course.
Never in the media for anything bad. I would hope that they also hook him up, right?
Sure.
Give
him a signed jersey or a bat.
This happened at the Phillies game. A Phillies fan caught it, and one of Salvi's home runs. I think it was maybe his 300th.
Yeah.
And the Phillies fan just wanted to meet Salvi and give it, and meeting would be great.
Yeah.
At the same time, the other part of me kind of wants some stuff.
Right. No, absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this?
So I think it was like Barry Bonds's home run ball, the 7 whatever it was, or 70, I can't remember what number it was. Somebody caught that one and they're like, hey, give it back to Barry and he'll give you all this stuff, and they're like, no. And he sold it for like $3 million or something, like an
It
asinine
has to
amount.
be a fair deal.
So I have a question for you. I'm going to flip the question, if you will, because this is a good question. If you're Cal Raleigh and you hit your 60th home run and a kid catches it, does Cal Raleigh take that ball from the kid?
As opposed to
Like, if Cal Raleigh's 60th home run, does Cal Raleigh request that ball from that child, or does he just go, nah, the kid can have it?
I think you request the ball from the child.
But it's a kid.
Yeah. You can get the
Is
kid
he
all
then-
sorts of cool stuff. You can get him a clubhouse experience. You can get him a picture with Ken Griffey Jr.
What if the kid says, no, I want the ball?
I think like any adult, I think they have to keep the ball. Honestly, I think that's what it is.
Man.
But that would be really cool as a kid.
But like
I
I'm saying,
think it has to be a fair trade, you know. And,
Of course.
and a signed bat or ball is not a fair trade.
Right. Well, do you remember I think it was Tom Brady's, was a 600th touchdown, career touchdown or whatever it was. Mike Evans threw it into the stands, and
Oh yeah.
they hooked up the guy with a signed Tom Brady jersey, but then it came out later that the value of that ball was going to be in the millions of dollars, and the guy was immediately like, dang it, like what the hell, like if I'd have known that,
right.
I would have kept the ball. Like, he was actually like upset about it afterwards, which is totally fair.
So he gave it back.
He gave it back for but like it turned out
that's on him though. Like, how do you not know? That's,
right? Yeah,
that's gonna be worth a
100%.
ton of
You
money.
got to get your money's worth for sure.
Yeah, and again,
Hey, give me ball number 599.
I think that is the biggest. Like, we all love our sports heroes,
Yeah.
but a signed bat in exchange for something that's nowadays, no matter what it is, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least millions of dollars.
Probably
for a signed bat.
Go to Cooperstown, probably, like the
I mean,
60th home run ball by Cal Raleigh. It's going to be in Cooperstown.
It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm taking, like, if I catch Cal Raleigh's home run ball, 60th, most ever by a catcher. He's a switch hitter. He's had an unbelievable season. I am absolutely willing to give him that ball back.
Sure.
But
you give me something in return.
I need the pictures. I need the meet and greets. I need, my
dinner,
kid to get an
steak
experience.
and wine.
I need the gift cards.
Yeah.
I need, I'm sorry, but you don't want to be too materialistic.
Sean has high demands.
You don't want to be too materialistic, but this is hundreds of thousands of dollars
right,
that
that
I
you're
would be
giving
giving
up.
Yes,
That
so
you're,
it's like
you're
that's
giving
not,
up. Yeah. No,
it shouldn't even be. Again, shout out to the good guys, but I hope the dude who
Cal
played
Raleigh,
catch on the
give me
field
your
with Mike
phone
Trout.
number. We get a text 10 times a day.
Yes,
yeah.
you're required to send me a text. No,
Right.
but like the
We
Mike
get to be
Trout
best
thing was
friends.
the coolest thing I've seen.
That's really cool.
Is the fact that he got to play catch on the field with Mike Trout.
That's awesome.
I mean,
good for him.
You can't put a price on that unless you ask me. Apparently,
Right. See, I'm selling it. I'm going with the money.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going
That's
with
what
the
I'm
money.
saying. If you're giving it back, which is probably
So
the right thing to do,
This ball is worthless. It's a Lorenzo Cain hit foul ball. That's worth a lot to me
totally
because I got
worthless.
it.
Yeah.
But like to everybody else is not. But if this is like Lorenzo Cain's whatever 100th hit or whatever, and he wanted it back, like I'm shopping around. Like I'm hitting the black markets.
You're getting
looking at
that
prices.
lawyer. You're getting that lawyer.
Yeah. I'm lawyering up for sure. Elijah.
Big Lodge.
Big Lodge. He wants to know, if you were a car, what kind of car would you be, Sean?
Wow, I'm surprised that you're even letting me answer rather than saying that I would be a buggy from the 1860s.
I was going to say, a Model T.
Of course.
Ford Model T. That was your first car, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right? Or did you start off with horse carriage?
What's a car?
You started off with horse and carriage, right?
So I would be
you graduated to the Model T.
Be a Toyota
later.
Camry.
Hey, you're a Nissan Altima guy to me.
Nah, I used to have a Camry, and relatively boring, but still you could get that thing up to 110.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Sneaky fun.
Sneaky fun. Yes.
Sneaky fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like sneaky athletic.
I like. I think I don't know. If I was a car, what car would I be? What car would I be? What do you think?
Purple Kia.
A purple Kia. That's what I drive right now. I drive a purple Kia. Not crazy about the color purple. It's fine. The two cars I've had in my life, by the way, both were purple. Isn't that weird?
Showing
I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I had a purple car, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
It's weird.
I don't know. Minivan. I like PT Cruisers. I think those are fun.
Minivan.
Like a minivan with like racing stripes and
Yeah.
maybe flames painted on it. That'd be fun.
I would not be a Jeep. I would tell you that much.
You have a Jeep.
My wife has a Jeep that I often drive.
You drive that Jeep 99% of the time.
Well, yeah, but
I've seen your other car like twice.
It's all right. And you like it, don't you?
It's a good car.
Yeah, Hyundai Santa Fe. No, I'm not a Jeep guy. Really cool Jeeps, I would go, if they're the top of the line like Wranglers, those are cool, but I would never own one. I would certainly never be one.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Appreciate that question.
By the way, my dad just texted me and said your car's maroon, not purple.
It's
damn
purple.
straight.
It's purple. It's purple.
It's maroon. Hunter.
Hard hitter.
He says, what big revolutionary inventions were created by accident? I have one.
Okay.
If you care.
I am doing a talk show with you to where I listen to things that you say, so I will listen.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
Yes. Okay.
It happened by accident.
You know who absolutely hates
Walter M. Reese.
peanut butter and chocolate?
Who? You're Dan Kellerman.
Yes.
That's right, which is crazy to me. That's
Dan
my least favorite thing
Kellerman
about your dad.
does not like peanut butter and chocolate together.
That's
Loves
insane.
peanut butter. Loves chocolate.
Yeah.
Doesn't do it together.
And it's wonderful together.
If
But yeah,
you show up
Walter
with
M.
a
Reese
Reese's peanut butter cup,
dropped the
he will
candy
disown you.
bar in a jar of peanut butter and said, "Oh, well, I'm a resourceful guy. I'll eat it anyway." Bit into it. That's how Reese's Cups came to be.
How about that? All-time great quote from
That's actually not. I just made that up, by the way.
from
I
my
just made that up.
brother.
Don't listen to me. I made that
All-time
up.
great quote from my brother when eating Jack Stack. Shout out to another great Kansas City barbecue establishment. Eating Jack Stack barbecue, and you're like eating the brisket or the burn ends,
Yeah.
the pork or whatever, and you've also got your Jack Stack beans, which are the best in the business. Jack Stack actually already puts their meat in their beans. So it's like, anyway. So my
Love that.
brother had an all-time quote. He said, "Here's an idea. Let's put meat in our beans." Good idea. That's what it is about. It's an accidental thing that happens. The pork falls in the beans. It's like, oh my God, these beans
Right.
were already amazing, and now I'm just going to town on them.
By the way, there are some. So penicillin was created by accident. Alexander Fleming noticed mold killing bacteria in a dirty petri dish, leading to the world's first antibiotic. X-rays. Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen
Yes.
accidentally discovered these rays while working on light bulbs, allowing to see the inside of human body. Insulin, LSD. That's funny. Yeah, so there's some fun ones. Cornflakes. Yeah, there's some fun ones. Look at that.
All right, KU
Shout out to Hunter.
Najee, he's got a trifecta for us. He says, how different is the season last year if they had the current special teams unit? Man. Laith Marjan, Money Marjan, as I dubbed him, well before the season even started. Trademark.
Yeah.
The best kicker Kansas has had in a long time.
Yeah.
And we can really depend on him. It's a shame KU offensively wasn't able to get 35-ish yards to give him a chance there at the end. The Cincinnati game. Finn Lappin, certainly a big improvement over Diamond Grives. And
Diamond
the
Grives.
punt return, kick return game, way better. You just got to avoid those big mistakes, right? And we had a couple of them in the past couple of years, particularly in a game against the purple team that we got to make sure that we don't have.
Yeah. It's still a sore subject every time we bring up Jamil Croft Jr.'s name. He's still on the team. Still.
Trevor
around.
Wilson had that unfortunate muffed punt a couple of years
The
ago.
muff punt was bad.
well.
So I think Finn Lappin
They probably win another
has
game.
15 more yards on Damon Graves.
They probably win another game with this year's. I mean,
they win the K-State game.
You're playing in a bowl
They
game.
for sure win the K-State game.
Yeah.
And you're playing in a bowl game.
Yeah.
I think that's
Thanks, KU Najee. That bums us out. But no, it's a shout out to the current special teams unit, some of those guys that we talked about. If you could bring any KU jersey back, what would it be?
I like the Navy ones.
Cool.
Like the 2003
At the
Nick
time-
Nick Reed.
At the time, I didn't like them.
Really?
Because I was like, well, that's not KU's color. But now
Sure.
looking back, I'm like, man, I would
They're
love to see
cool.
those on a throwback.
Right?
Yeah, Charles Gordon, Bill Whittemore,
Yeah.
Adam Barman. Shout out Adam Barman. First time we mentioned him
Man.
on this show.
Good pull.
Those are cool. And obviously, you go back to the original circus basketball with the shorts, the Heinrich and Collison years.
Like Aaron Miles.
Incredible.
Yeah, like Aaron Miles style jersey. I think those are
KU football's had some weird ones. Like, you remember the all gray back in the,
Oh.
before Coach Leipold got
the
here.
Mountel Cozart specials.
We had the baby blues at one point. Not the baby blues from last year, but the ones from way back. We had
You know
the
what
grays that had the like red and blue on the
right.
shoulder
Do
pads.
you know what I liked? There's two that stick out to me from the bad years. It was the K bow tie. Remember that one?
Yeah,
the
that
blue.
was cool.
I liked that one, and then I also liked the Civil War flag. Remember
Yes,
that? That
yes,
one was cool
for sure.
And then
And
how could
I
we
like the
forget
Jared Casey ones too.
the Jared Casey one?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
The
going to
Texas
say.
game, yeah.
The World War II fighter jet ones. Those are awesome.
Yep.
Those are awesome.
One
Also,
more from
KU
KU
Najee says Brady Ballinger for Golden Spikes? Question mark.
Yeah.
Yes, Brady Ballinger is going to be awesome this year.
That dude's batting average was floating around 400 most of last
He's
year.
unreal.
Ended up around 360, I want to say.
I'm so glad he's not draft eligible, so he can come back.
Yeah.
Now
Vaguely also, we'll be back.
Vaguely will be back. Brady Ballinger. I mean, what are the odds he gets drafted this year? Probably 99%.
Very high.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Dude
unless he gets like injured or something, Brady Ballinger is going to be the absolute head of that KU baseball team. Yeah.
Freddie
Golden
Freeman
Spikes
Jr.
would be cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
he looks just like Freddie
Also,
Freeman. And
great
how
walk-up
he hits.
song too. I mean, Brady Ballinger.
Zach Top.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Shout out to Brady Ballinger.
Cody says, "What's the best flavor of chips?" Boy, this is a hard hitter. I think
Chocolate
in
chips.
general, chocolate chips is solid. Poker chips are pretty tasty, depending on when you. No,
Microchips, computer chips,
I'm going either.
chips. The motorcycle cops.
I think I'm going.
Stupid.
Gun to my head, salt and vinegar.
That's
pickle.
why that is not a good
Pickle
pick.
would be right there overall.
That's
Salt
not
and
a good
vinegar,
pick.
you can eat like 600 of them. They're great.
Yeah, but
Then your mouth feels that.
best
Yeah. What's better?
barbecue chips.
Guys, barbecue chips, yes, are great, but
Yeah.
a lot of times you get like
the
they go-
Jimmy barbecue
Lay's
chips are
barbecue
great.
chips are lame.
Jalapeno. I mean, the Miss Vicky's.
Sure,
They're great. I'll
they're
even go
not
like,
as good as salt and
but
vinegar.
like we're going like not like we're not even talking about like Doritos. Doritos, fantastic.
Cool Ranch.
Doritos,
Yes.
fantastic. I mean, Ruffles original.
Ruffles cheddar and sour cream.
Ruffles cheddar and sour cream, delicious. I had an interesting one. It was Pringles. They were pizza flavored.
You hadn't had those before?
No, I hadn't. They weren't bad.
They're okay. There's not enough pizza though.
Yeah, it was mainly just like you're like, yeah, I
Any
think this is in the
chips-
same room as
Any
oregano
chips that have
before.
a lot of salt, a lot of seasoning, and
Salt
the
and
best part of
vinegar
the
is the
chips, the
Gun
best
to
part
your
of the bag of
head,
chips.
Salt and vinegar.
Yes, the best part of the bag of chips, the crumbs. Right?
Yeah, you
get
mash them up and then you go.
You get all the seasoning. Oh
Yeah.
God.
I do that every time.
Great stuff.
Henry, he wants to know.
Cody
where would-
probably think it's protein shake or protein chips.
Yes,
I would think.
protein chips. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cody's a big.
Yeah. protein
Have you had popcorners?
No.
They're wonderful. They're in the shape of a Dorito, and they're made out of like corn. It's like almost like a big piece of popcorn, and it's flat and it's shaped like a Dorito. It's amazing, and they're healthy for you.
My wife, a big kettle corn guy.
She
loves.
I like kettle corn.
She loves kettle corn.
Big kettle corn
Yeah.
guy over here as well.
Mhm.
Henry, he wants to know. Last one here. Where would you most want KU football to play outside of the United States?
How about Wembley Stadium?
Man,
Love it.
if only, right?
Right. Where would we most want KU football to play? You got one off the top?
So outside of the United States, I was going to say Hawaii, but that's obviously in the United States. And they're going to be playing there in 2028. Japan would be cool, right?
Texas. Also a state. How about
Right.
that?
All right, I understand. Bahamas is that a U.S. territory? Yeah. Damn it. Okay. Well, I've listed two so far
Go
that are
to
in
the
the
other
All
side.
right. Let me broaden my look. You got a globe, so you may have a globe. Whatever. Japan would be cool, I think. Let's see. I mean, I love that they're going to London.
How about
What about like
Barcelona?
Italy? Italy with this like roaming vineyards in the background.
That would be pretty cool.
In the Colosseum.
That would be cool.
Go to Rome in the Colosseum.
You should pitch these ideas.
I should.
Yeah.
Travis Goff, get me in that boardroom. I got ideas.
That's our
man.
KU Mailbag segment for today. Thanks to everybody who sent in their questions. Find us again on Twitter at the Kansas Nation. Find us on all your socials, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. We're on there. Kansas Nation. Appreciate all the support. After this, we're going back to KU Media. We're going to hear from defensive coordinator DK McDonald on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here live in the Kansas Nation studio. Hey, Friday, Dan, we are going over to Hy-Vee on
That's right.
Clinton and Castled. I believe they've got a couple deals for us.
Absolutely. They have $7 hot grab-and-go pizzas, $8.99 chicken enchiladas with Spanish rice. Come on out to Hy-Vee on Friday from 4 to 6. We're going to be out there doing our show. Also have a very special guest going to be joining us via Zoom. It's Andrew Cherico. He's a UCF insider. Walls of Cherico. Really cool stuff. He's a student at UCF. Really excited for him to be able to join us as well. So he's going to be via Zoom. We're going to be pre-recording that. But please come on out to Hy-Vee on Clinton and Castlewold here in Lawrence from 4 to 6 on Friday.
Shout out to Easton John, who's a noted WWF, WWE fan and knows all about the walls of Jericho. But no.
Sean, you put him in the walls of Jericho the other day, didn't you?
I did. Andrew Jericho, though, UCF Insider 24/7 Sports. He will join us on Friday. But yeah, Hy-Vee is great. $7 ready-to-eat pizzas. They're delicious.
So
and,
good.
We're gonna be
Best
giving
bang
away
for your buck in town.
Giving away some free swag too. We're gonna have shirts. We're gonna have glasses. All sorts of stuff. So Kansas Nation, come see us on Friday. Hey, let's hear from KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald, who spoke to reporters yesterday.
Yeah, what stood out on film when you looked back at what happened on defense in the last game?
We just we got to do a better job coaching. The guys are getting coached up, and we got to execute what we're being coached, and that's the big part of just sitting on film, just a little bit of that.
Coach Leipold said that you guys need to be more confident in coverage. How do you go about adding that confidence and improving that for your defensive backs?
Just come through practice. Guys just getting out there in practice and just taking what they do in practice out to the field, just like they did in the previous game. So it's no different. I thought we've done a good job covering, up to last game. And so once again, we got to do a lot better job as coach, and I got to do a better job as a coordinator, helping those guys out. And naturally, they got to get out and execute what we're trying to do.
Lance said yesterday maybe some, I think I've got it right here, misalignments and missed assignments. Is that a case of maybe too much going on in guys' heads, or just that happens in football, or what do you think that was?
Yeah, it happens, and like I said, man, if that's the case, then we as coaches got to take care of that and make sure guys aren't confused or missed a line or anything like that. So like I said, it starts with me, and then naturally our coaches got to take care of it and get it down to the players so they can go out and execute the best they can.
Had you seen some of that in previous games, even though you maybe hadn't won them?
No, we haven't, but this was a game, and every week's different. Right? Every week's different. You got to come out every week and treat it as 0-0, and that's what we are this week. So we got to make sure we're ready for UCF because they got a great attack, and so we got to do a great job, like I said, coaching these guys up so they can go out and execute to the best of their ability. Because we've done that, and this last week was a week that we didn't, so that's unfortunate.
DK, they've talked about they don't really know what the quarterback situation is. How do you handle that in a week of preparation?
Well, you just kind of prepare for all three, and all three, have a unique skill set, which is challenging. It really is, And then you're also, dealing with a right hander or left hander, different things like that. But those are things you just got to prepare for and get ready. The great thing about them is that the offense does not change with the guys that they have in. So it's not like they're running a whole different offense, like some teams do when they bring in just a guy who can run, or they just got a guy who can throw. Like they really run what they run. So we just got to just be prepared for what they do.
And then what do they want to do when they're doing something well?
What do they want to do? I mean, naturally, they want to run the ball. They're really good at running the ball. Watching their game from last week against Kansas State, and they did a good job of running. Those running backs were special. They both got great speed. They were running away from the defense. They do that a lot on film. And then they got, it's going to be a challenge because they got some taller wide receivers, which, we haven't faced a whole bunch of them this year. So they got 2 6'3", 6'4" guys, and so that's going to present a challenge to us. Having to defend some longer wide receivers this year. Then they got little short Jitterbug, number 7, who's a dynamic player that they try to do a great job of getting the ball to in great situations. So Coach Frost does a heck of a job calling plays, and they got a really good team, a lot of team speed down there.
You mentioned following Coach Satterfield's career to an extent. Have you followed Scott's to any degree?
Not as much. Like I said, we had a previous relationship with Coach Satterfield because him and Coach Campbell were close friends. They worked together, so we were able to go down to Louisville and see him operate down there, different things like that. So I've known of him since that time. I can't say I've had that type of connection with Coach Frost, but he's done a great job wherever he is. I know he spent a little time in the league last year getting some of those ideas. You can see a little bit of that on film also. And so he does a great job. And those guys play hard and they play for each other, which is fun to see.
What maybe are some of those NFL ideas?
Just some, some of the screen, the bubble stuff that he has there, some of the pass concepts that you can see that I've noticed from my time in the NFL and just looking and studying NFL film. You can see, those are some concepts that he probably pulled from there, which is a sign of a great coach. You got to get ideas from everywhere. I've taken ideas from high school guys, so it's all how we share, looking to help the team be beneficial.
What's a high school idea that you've taken?
I can't tell you that.
When you guys play with a light box, how important is it to get run support from that back end and the safeties?
I think it's always important to get run support from the safety. So no matter if you're packing a box or anything like that, 'cause usually if you're packing a box, you're packing it with secondary guys, and so they're just giving you support from a higher level, which is, part of defense. Sometimes you got to defend a pass, and some calls you got to defend the run, and so they got to come down and tackle, and they got to do it at a high level. But that's everybody. In today's football, you got to defend 53 and a third and 100 yards, and if you can't do that, then you're going to be in big time trouble. And the best way to do that is a tackle.
How challenging is it for those safeties when you've got all these RPOs, teams that spread you out and you have so many different responsibilities and things to sort of check off your list to make a play?
Yeah, it's really tough, and that's the beauty of football now is that, it's no longer 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's now you got the RPO, you got people doing all type of things. You got linemen who are 5 yards down the field on a pass play. And so you got to do a great job, first of all, with your eyes. Your eyes are your greatest weapon. Your eyes are your greatest defense. If you look right, you're going to do right. And so we try to train our guys with their eyes quite a bit and trust that. And then you got to go and back to your eyes. You got to trust what you see. You got to hit what you see. You got to see what you hit. And so we got to do a better job with that.
Blake Harold, are you seeing some positive momentum there sort of from him week to week?
Yeah, it's a great thing about Blake is, he's one of the toughest guys that, I've been around. It's amazing, what he fights through to get to the game every Saturday. And then when he goes out there, he makes play after play, and he plays fast, and you would never know the struggles that he goes through. And so proud of Blake, and just to see him out there making plays, to tackle for losses he has, the hits on quarterbacks that he has. He's really taking his game up to another level, and I'm excited to see what it looks like as he continues to get more and more healthy.
At linebacker, John's already started in place of Bengali a couple times, and he's going to probably have to do that again because of targeting. How have you seen him respond to the increased playing time that he's gotten this season?
He's done a heck of a job. Credit Coach Simpson and all the guys in the linebacker room. Because one thing about John, he's a sponge. Like, he really takes coaching. He's one of those edge of the seat guys that when you're talking, he's looking in your eye and he's on the edge of the seat. So that really pays off for him. And now the only thing he was really lacking was confidence. I think more now he's getting out on the field and he's seeing the plays he's making and that he's able to play at this level. And now you can see that he's playing really well. So I'm excited for him to get the opportunity. We hate to have Bengali out, what type of playmaker he is for us, but it's another opportunity for John to step up. And we're fortunate that he's done this before, that it's not his first time being out there on a big game on the road. And then Logan Brantley's going to have to step up for us too and be another guy to help us in the first half. So I'm excited to see him because he's been working really hard in practice.
DK, we can see Bengali's reaction to that targeting call on the sideline, obviously emotional and all that. Do you have time in that moment to go talk to him and settle him down at all, or does somebody address it with him, or is he just...
Yeah, we do. You know how it is. You got to let those guys kind of work through the emotions a little bit without being a distraction. So we let them work through that. But I talk to him about it, and it's tough. He wants to play. He's a competitor, and the rule's the rule. And it was a good call. It was, and so we got to do a better job of coaching and teaching our guys how to have lower targets and different things like that without taking away, hey, we want you to play hard, fast, and physical, but you also got to play legal. And so, but we did calm him down. He understood, and we even talked the other day just about the reactions, and it kind of is what it is. The rule is what the rule is right now.
How much time, maybe not on game day, of course, or even in season, but how much time do you guys, as a staff, defensive staff, think about what do we do with the targeting rule? I mean, you talk about it a lot. How do you coach it? How do you not coach it? I mean, it's got to be a challenge everywhere.
Yeah, we talk about it quite a bit just because of the simple fact that the penalty is so high. Yeah. That you don't want to lose a guy for a half and then the other half for another game. So when we practice, all our tackling drills we do are low. The target area is always low. But it is sometimes in the heat of a game, you're just going there. And so hopefully, I said this before, hopefully it's something that we look at as a rules committee, if a guy has two of them in the game, maybe that's rules for, room for ejection there. But one of them, let it be a 15, and then that's his personal foul and move on. Because I think this is really punitive to have that type of play. A couple of our guys that we had, even like D dies, the guy's falling and he hits him and he's out. Like that's tough because his target area really wasn't at the guy's head, it was really at his waist, and he's falling and ends up being at his head, and now he's out for a whole half, which I think that's a very punitive rule that we have, and we got to really look at that as a rules committee. I know we want to protect guys, and I'm all for that, but for a guy to be out for 2 halves of football for something that's not malicious, I think we got to look at that as a rules committee.
So far this season, I think you guys have struggled a little bit to get off the field on 3rd and 4th down. I think you guys are second to last in the Big 12 in 4th down conversion rate. What have you seen from Taze? Is there anything that kind of emerged pattern-wise from what opponents do to you guys?
Yeah, I think the big thing about getting off on 4th down is we stopped them on 3rd, but just like last game, it was 3rd and 6, and they scrambled for 5, and so those 4th downs that we have are not like 4th and 10 or something like that. A lot of them are 4th and 1, 4th and 2, which you don't have great odds with to begin with. So we got to do a better job on 3rd down, not giving up yards on 3rd down, and the team feels like they can go for it on 4th down. And then this day of analytics, most people are going for it on 4th down. So a lot of teams are really getting 2 second downs or something like that. So we just got to continue to work at that. We continue to look at it and coach up our guys. Like I said, we got to win 3rd down in a negative way for the offense, so we can be better forcing 4th and longs instead of 4th and 1 and 2.
You guys put Jalen Todd back at free safety this past game. What was that conversation like, or what was the thought process behind doing that a little bit?
Yeah, it really wasn't a lot of conversation. Jay Todd's such a great guy, and he's just doing whatever he can for the team, and so just the way the season goes, and throughout a game, you get some guys who get banged up a little bit throughout the game, and so he was the next guy that we had to throw in there. The great thing about that is he did it last year, so it wasn't like a huge jump or leap for him, and it just gave us a guy who's physical, who can run and get in there, and we got a little depth at corner that we're able to be flexible with that.
What'd you think of what he did?
I thought he did a great job. Did a great job. I think he'll only get better if he has to continue to play in there. And like I said, the great thing about Jay Todd is, man, he works like no other. His maturity is off the charts, and so for him to go in there wasn't a big thing. He didn't blink. He went in there and fought, did a great job, and like I said, if we need him to continue to do that, I think he'll do it at a high level for us.
What's impressed you most about Jalen as a first-year starter?
He's done a good job. Like I said, it's been the work he put in behind the scenes, and he's been fortunate that he had a chance to play last year, so he knows a little bit of what it's about and everything like that. And so, but he works hard. Like I said, his maturity is like no other, and so a lot of this stuff, he doesn't blink at a lot of it. And if we need him to play safety, he can probably go out and play safety for us too. So just really happy, glad he's with us, and glad he's playing some great football for us too.
Yeah, not surprising. One of the hot topics there for DK McDonald's press conference, Dan, 3rd and 4th down. That's been something that, whether it's KU on offense or KU on defense, has hindered them at times, particularly in their 2 losses. It all starts there, but as DK mentioned, it starts on the earlier downs, right? Because you got to not allow these teams to have 3rd and short, 4th and short. Yeah, absolutely. And the Kansas defense, Henry talked a little bit about it. It's because they were so confusing. Because looking at what they did against West Virginia, you thought, man, this might be the best Kansas defense in the Lance Leipold era, and all of those issues have been completely fixed. And apparently those issues have not been fixed in terms of 2-minute drill defense, right? 3rd and 4th down conversions. I believe Shreyas even asked him, he said, hey, look, you guys are, second in the Big 12 in 3rd and 4th down conversions. We did the math on it, right? In the Cincinnati game, 10 of the 16 times they got to at least 3rd down, they were able to convert to another set of downs. So it's obviously very unfortunate, and that's something that they're going to have to really hammer home. And I think we saw the defense playing with a lot of fire, a lot of intensity in those first couple of games, but there comes a point where the defense starts to get worn down. So, and I don't want to use the word blame, but I think you can look at the Kansas offense and their inability to stay on the field for long stretches of time. Now, some of that's good, right? Some of that is the 93-yard bomb to Emmanuel Henderson, on the first play of the offense, right? But then all of a sudden the defense is like, well, crap. Now we got to go back out there again. Like we didn't have time to catch our breaths, and they go on these long extended drives wearing down the defense that you get tired enough that eventually you do start missing assignments and you start, messing up out there, and you get a little bit more tired than the other guys, right? So there is a little bit of that, and it goes back to what you said a couple weeks ago about complementary football in terms of the offense and the defense. The offense not being able to stay on the field for long enough, doing those long sustaining drives, and the defense not being able to get off the field. Well, KU definitely is going to look at that we haven't talked a lot about how Kansas doesn't have Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson. Those guys at times were prone to give up big plays, like we saw it last year when we struggled at the ends of halves, but they would also take risks that sometimes would work out. They would get the pick sixes, those game-breaking plays, and Kansas needs to be better, as I said earlier in the week, taking the football away. Just 3 takeaways in the last 4 games for KU defensively. That coupled with the money down situation, 2 areas of improvement for KU's defense. Again, the 2 games Kansas had lost this season, 10 of 16, like you said, combined against Cincinnati, were the Bearcats offensively. The Tigers offensively, when KU lost to them, 14 of 24. That's 58%. Those are really high percentages, and certainly that plays a part in a team winning. On the flip side, the 3 games that Kansas has won this year, they go up 7, 7, and 10 points. So the rest of the story is certainly still to be written regarding KU football defensively for this season. Hey, more Rock Chalk Sports is coming up after this, live, KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Haney, here in studio. BH will talk about what needs to happen. KU's game against UCF at the Bounce House on Saturday, 6:30. Coverage will start the Crimson and Blue Show, Sports Radio 810 at 5 o'clock. So excited for that. And then Friday, we're going to be out at Hy-Vee, Clinton and Castle, giving away free stuff. So make sure you swing by and say hey to us 4 to 6 Friday for Rock Chalk Sports out at Hy-Vee. We're also going to do a special fantasy draft on tomorrow's show. So
That's right.
You won't want to miss that. Hey, MLB playoffs are underway. I gave the stat earlier in the show. I mentioned it yesterday. 12 times since 2022 when the new wild card format came in to play, which was essentially a best of 3. The team that's the higher seed gets to host all 3 games. All 12 times, the team who won Game 1 ended up winning the series, and now, well, it remains to be seen if that'll continue. The Tigers and the Guardians split the first 2, and the Padres and the Cubs split the first 2. So nice having a couple rubber matches tomorrow. Everybody loves the best 2 words in sports. Game 3. That's the situation tomorrow. And right now, the Yankees are actually leading the Red Sox as well. It was 2-0 last I saw. So perhaps a Game 3 is
This is
in order at
2-2.
Monument Park.
This is 2-2, bottom third right
2-2
now.
now. All right. So there you go. Tie game out at Monument Park. But exciting. Of course, the nightcap will be Reds Dodgers out at Chavez Ravine. Some good news for Kansas women's basketball. First, want to remind you, KU volleyball in action. We talked to Greeny about it a little bit earlier, but they're taking on number 12 TCU tonight at 6:30. It's a road game, as is the game on Friday at number 15 Baylor. Make sure you're tuned in on ESPNU to support those girls.
Hey, KU women's basketball got 2 huge verbal commitments in the class of 2026. The first one was Molly Ernstez. She's 0 stars. She's a 6-foot tall shooting guard coming out of North Vernon, Indiana. And then the biggest one is Brooklyn Wren. She's a 4-star, number 68 in the nation, the number 17 ranked power forward in the class of 2026. She's 6'3", plays power forward. Going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works, considering the fact that Julia Davis is probably going to be taking up most of the minutes at that power forward position, especially, next year. She's going to be playing most of it this year, too. Julia Davis is the 5-star coming out of the Kansas City area, but Brooklyn Wren coming out of Sellersburg, Indiana. So that's really huge news for this Kansas women's basketball team. Obviously, continuing to get these 4-star, 5-star recruits is just a testament to, what Coach Brandon is really starting to build. And, looking at this last recruiting class that he got in with Keely Parks, Libby Fandel, Julia Davis, Tatiana Brown, all of those girls are essentially, they're going to be making an impact this year. And that's rare to see such a huge, such a huge part of your team be associated with freshmen. But when you have this much talent, right, it really has to come down to it when there are still really good veterans on this program as well. You talk about Brittany Harshaw, who's really kind of emerging and coming into her own. Elle Evans, who's kind of going to be sort of the bell cow in the shooting guard, the 2-3 area. She's 6'3" as well. And then obviously Samaya Nichols, who is the head of the snake, as you like to say. But yeah, really huge stuff. Brooklyn Wren and Molly Ernstez verbally committing the class of 2026 to Kansas women's basketball.
Yeah, we're hoping that the KU women are going to be able to join us in studio for some interviews to talk about their upcoming season. Of course, Late Night in the Fog, October 17th. Make sure you're locked into KansasNation.com for the best coverage. Again, follow us on our socials. Kansas women's team, we haven't had as much time to talk about for this upcoming season. talked about it a little bit earlier this week. They're probably not going to be ranked. We think that they have the talent to be ranked, but given the fact that there are still some question marks and the fact that there are so many young players coming in, only 12 players total on the roster. Of course, you bring in a veteran and Lily Meister and kind of that backup center
The Lily
role.
Meister.
The Lily Meister. If Reagan Williams is able to keep her starting spot, which we certainly believe she will, really athletic, big for Kansas. Not the tallest player, but definitely can find a way to be impactful out there. But there's reason to believe, even if Kansas isn't ranked in the preseason, and even if they're not ranked after the non-con because they won't face the stiffest of competition, they could eventually make their way up there for a lot of the young women that you mentioned, and certainly two veteran star players who could be all Big 12 performers in Nichols and Evans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, they are just continuing to grow, right? Samaya, we saw her really kind of take lead her freshman year. Last year, she had an excellent year as well. This is going to be her junior year. So this is going to be a big step forward. She's already kind of been looked at as the veteran there, even in her sophomore year, just being that main go-to girl on the offense and on the defensive side of the ball. So really, she's going to be, you know, the head of the snake, like I said, if you will. And it just really exciting about these new girls coming in, right? I think Jalea Davis is going to be a huge part of this Kansas team this year, and they can definitely make some noise, I think, especially with all this returning talent that they have. And it seems to me like this group of girls is really, you know, gluing together well, right? You see them bonding, you know, on social media. You see them out and about, right? So I think Coach Brandon and Patty Schrader and Coach Morgan, all of them are doing an excellent job in terms of keeping morale high, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. I mean, don't be surprised if Kansas winds up making a run in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, if you missed anything on our show today, you can now view us on your audio platforms. View us, listen to us wherever you'd like. YouTube, but of course, listen to us Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you would like. KansasNation.com. Check out the new Jayhawker podcast, Nate Bukaty and Jalen Daniels as well. But we'll catch you tomorrow on Rock Talk Sports. Big thanks to our producer, Elijah Schmidt. For Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Catch you tomorrow from 4 to 6 here on KansasNation.com.